Greeting from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And today is Saturday, which means yesterday was Friday Night SmackDown, and we have a lot to talk about. A lot happened on the show. Maybe too much happened on the show. We're going to get into it all, break down the show structure, our favorite parts, our least favorite parts. You guys know the drill. We do it every Saturday. But before we begin, let me introduce my panel and let's kick things off with the Impact sub of today, because Clark had to pull out last minute because his KU team are playing in, I think, March Madness. I think that's what you Americans call it. But they made it to the next round or something. So he's gone away to watch that. But we have an Impact substitute. And that man is the head of opinions, Anthony Ricciardi. How are you, Anthony?
I'm doing it right. Superman needed to tag in there. So I was happy to do it. Last night I was at the TNA Impact show, so for me it was Saturday afternoon SmackDown. As I quickly watched the show to prepare for this show. So it should be fun, and if I forget anything, that's really going to be bad because I just finished watching it.
That would be awkward. That really would be. And we've got Clark in the comments saying Rock Chalk J Hawk, which I presume is the chant of KU in basketball. But we've also got Bobby Petito in the comments as well. Shout out to you, Bobby. I hope you're having a great Saturday. But last but not least, we have Jordy. How are you, Jordy?
I'm good, man. I'm good, as always. Back again on the Saturday show. It's becoming a regular thing. It doesn't seem as dramatic because I'm not I'm an Impact sub, but I am here as scheduled, and I'm excited to talk about SmackDown. Like you said, there's a lot to unpack. I think there's a lot that happened last night that a lot of people will have different opinions on. So I think it's going to be an interesting one to review. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about it, as always, my friend. It feels weird that us English people are actually outnumbering the American side for once. So that feels strange, but here we are.
No, that is actually quite strange to think about. But let's just jump straight in and talk about Rey Mysterio versus Santos Escobar. I said it in the Allison analysis I did on Twitter. I love Rey Mysterio. He was one of the ones who got me into wrestling. Realistically, he was actually probably the first one to catch my eye when I turned on the screen. But also Edge and Shawn Michaels played a part in that as well. But I loved Rey Mysterio as a kid. And to see him basically limping down to the ring at the start of this match, it was painful to see. The start of the match was just botch after botch. However, it picked up, and also they recovered all of the botches quite well, to be honest with you. Shout out to Santos Escobar. He's a pro, and of course, we know Rey Mysterio, the veteran. He recovered as best as he could as well. As the match went on, it was better, and it got really enjoyable by the end. But dirty Dominic Mysterio once again became his dirty self and cost Rey Mysterio the win. And the question coming out of this is, are we getting Rey versus Dominic Mysterio 2? Are we getting Rey and somebody versus Dominic Mysterio and Santos Escobar? Perhaps Dragon Lee teaming with Rey, perhaps Andrade, because we know Andrade and Dom are feuding too. Who knows? But Anthony, I want to start by getting your thoughts on this match and where we will go from this point.
This is really tricky because Rey, like you said, is getting on in years. The clock is ticking. The hourglass is running out. I don't think Rey will be wrestling much longer. I don't. I believe I had said to you on this show when we were talking about last year, the 39, could last year have been his last match against his son, which would make sense. I'm kind of wondering now that they're throwing Dom back in the mix, considering the fact Dom has not been in the picture since they kind of ended it. Mm-hmm. Is there something here? Is he retiring at 40? Is that a possibility? I don't know. I'm looking at it. I'm going, all right. Well, Dom's still growing the hair out. Are we doing hair versus mask? Is that where we're going? Ooh. Because he was wearing the mask last night when he jumped Rey. I do think either Dominic or Escobar, possibly Andrade, but probably Dominic or Escobar is probably the logical choice to be the one to beat him to end his career, because I do think he'll lose on the way out.
Yeah.
I think he's going to do the time honored tradition on that. Just the match itself last night, when they booked it, my first thought was, I'm literally kind of surprised they're doing this on SmackDown and not Mania, just based on the build. Because you look at this match, this is something for Escobar. This is his childhood hero. This is the guy that, all luchadors looked up to. Ray's the one that broke the barrier in the States to be a major star and not just a fantasy act. So, for Escobar, this is a big deal. And I think they want to give Ray that grand send off, wherever that is, whether that's at Mania or some show possibly in Mexico. I do think the clock is ticking. 40 would be ideal, I think, if the clock really is as bad. Like, I mean, I don't know. He's had so many knee surgeries. I don't know how he's feeling. It can't be 100%. He probably hasn't felt that in decades at this point.
That's a good point.
Just based on the knee surgeries. But at a certain point, you're like, I want to still be able to walk and, take care of my grandkids when that comes, because Dom just got married. I think the clock is, we're seeing the end. We're seeing the end soon.
And it's sad to see it. Truly, truly is. I mean, the thing about his retirement matches, he's actually already spoiled it. He's already said that he wants to retire in a match against Dominic Mysterio, where he gives Dominic the mask at the end of the match. So he has spoiled it, and he spoiled it now for a couple of years. But that's why I kind of presumed that maybe it would be Mania 41, and they were going to build up Dom as a heel for like another year. Then when it started to get a little stale, do the feud of Ray, and then have him turn face at the end of it and see if, he can work as a face now. But I mean, like you said, if the clock really is running out of time, then maybe it's going to be this year.
I mean, it is possible they would go 3, where maybe he does face Dom this year, beats Dom again, Dom loses his hair, or beats him again, and then next year they do hair versus face. I don't know, but I do think Dom is the logical choice, and I don't blame him. Saying it doesn't matter. It's still going to be an awesome moment to see him pass the mask on to Dom. Like, that's going to be a great moment no matter when it happens.
No doubt about it, and I really am hyped about it. But Jordy, what did you think about this match, Rey Mysterio's performance, and the direction heading into WrestleMania?
Like you said, it was strange to see Rey kind of making his way somewhat slowly to the ring when the Rey Mysterio that I remember came bouncing out of the ground like a springboard. And like you said, this is something that we know has been coming. Age catches all of us. You think he had some stem cell work and that kind of give him a new lease of life, he said, but maybe now that kind of it can't cover up what's actually going on, because let's be honest, he's been doing it for a long time, and doing maybe a lot more athletically when it comes to these things than maybe some others, like Undertakers and people like that. But you still see the physical toll that it takes on these people, so it wouldn't surprise me. In terms of, I don't think it's a coincidence that Dominic was wearing that mask last night. I really don't. Well, like, how could it be? We never see. You didn't need to have him wear the mask. Like, we know who Dominic is. We know, like, he would have got booze. He could have put him in a hoodie, and like, that's the thing as well. They made no effort at all to cover up that it was Dominic in that mask. If they'd have had him not in Dominic's gear, then it might have been a bit clearer who's this person in just say black tracksuit bottoms and a black hoodie, kind of a Solo Sikoa type outfit, and then they take the hood off and it's like, oh my god, it's Dom. It was clear from the off it was Dom. So, like, I don't think that that's a coincidence. Maybe, like you said, with 41, maybe if he is kind of struggling right now, remember he did just have an operation, maybe they're looking at booking a tag match for this year, because that puts less stress on Ray to perform an individual match. But yeah, but bringing Dom in does seem weird. Now, it never does, because it's his son and they had such the feud last year. And although it got put to bed, I don't think we all knew the book wasn't closed
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd be excited to see it. I'd be excited to see hair versus mask. I'd be excited to see just mask versus ownership of the mask, because the fact that Dom was wearing it, does Ray come out next week and say you have no right to wear that mask? That mask doesn't
the
belong to you.
custody of the
Yeah.
custody of the mask ladder match.
Yeah, because it's got
Optimus and
to,
Eddie.
one thing that I would find interesting though is obviously you said turn face when he gets the mask. I think it might be interesting for us to see a heel Mysterio.
Ooh.
He's been the ultimate underdog, the ultimate hero for so long. What if that mask then becomes associated with the ultimate bad guy? I don't know. It would just be.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
I think the mask is the redemption thing. And
Could be, yeah.
the one other thing I do want to point out, not saying that Ray's definitely retiring this year, I'm not saying that, but significance-wise for his career, you figure he got his U.S. start in ECW. This is the home of ECW. It would be full circle.
Yeah. You are right. You are right. That is a great, great point, Anthony. I mean, we know you live in Philadelphia and love Philadelphia, but that is a bang on the truth.
I'm just pointing it out.
He started in ECW. That is the case in the US. Oh, please. It's weird. And I'm sure you guys have probably gone through this a little bit more because you've been fans for longer. But like for me, Rey Mysterio, like I said, like he was like the first action figure I think I bought as a kid. Like I watched it and I was so hooked by him straight away, and he drawed me into professional wrestling. And now the thought of him never stepping in the ring again, I mean, it's a weird one.
Do you know one thing though that I will say is this is one thing I noticed last night, and it kind of for the first time in the longest time. If you watch, I might be wrong, but if you watch back Ray's entrance from last night, there wasn't a kid on the front row for him to do the head thing with, and maybe that's a sign of the times, because there was somebody that looked about 20 years old that got a high five off him that was wearing a Rey Mysterio mask.
From the
and them kids wearing the Cody jackets. Have they got the Cody belts? So is it just a sign of the times that as much as we love Rey Mysterio, his time as being that ultimate icon for the younger generation is maybe gone now?
We've grown up with these, and it's funny because, like you said, Ben, like for me, it was Taker. Taker retiring, and then when I look back, and it made me think when Sting retired, and I'm thinking to myself, how many are left from when I started that are still around? I mean, you have Edge and Christian. The Rock has come back, so we got one. But as a whole, like, there's not many left from that era that are active competitors. There's nobody from that Attitude Era left. Like when you think about it,
it's sad to say there's not that many still with us. Like it's crazy that, like, to see Ray when you look back at them old WCW days and he's in the purple, and now to look that he's still performing in 2024. Up until last night, and like you said, it looked like rust. It looked like nothing more than rust. It's just strange to see it from Mysterio. But up until that point, he's always been performing at the highest level. And like, it is to a point now, you looked at it and went, how on earth is he doing that? And now you look at him and you go, how on earth is he still doing that? Like, I don't know how he did it 20 years ago. How is he still doing that? Like,
I just can't believe that when we were kids or whatever, we were going to the events wearing Rey Mysterio masks, trying to be in the front row. That was every kid's dream, and now they're not doing that. Instead, they're making TikToks, doing all of this rubbish.
Like an angry old man.
Maybe children will be the idiot of the week next week. Every single child. Maybe that's what will happen. We have a few comments here. We got Bobby Petito saying Rob Van Dam still around. That's a good point.
Yeah, very true.
We have numero one saying, unless they do a tag match with Ray and Carlito versus Dominic and Santos, it kind of feels left field to bring Dominic in. I do think it's a tag match, but I think it's Andrade, because that's then also links to Dominic Mysterio's storyline as well. Andrade Ray have history too. I mean, I'd also quite like to see that match. Like, to be honest, like that tag match sounds quite fun to me. Andrade, seeing him in the ring with Dominic and Santos as well, that would be
It
fun.
could be more
Like,
than two. It could well be more than a 2-on-2. They've all got factions. If you look
Yeah,
at
they
Ray Carlito, then they've got Cruz, and they've got the LWO. Then you've got Legado. You've got Zelina. You know what I mean? Like there's
no, it's a good point that
for a big silly battle.
If
For want of a better word.
If they were just teasing Dom, there's another place they can do this. They could end it at SummerSlam because that's where Dom started this whole thing with the custody.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that's entirely possible too. I mean, I'm biased because I hate matches when there's more than 6 people in the ring. That's my cutoff. I say it all the time.
We
more
know.
than 6 people, minus 5 stars from me. But I think the Street Profits versus Karrion Kross's group is going to be, I think that's going to be the multi-man match. I reckon, at least I hope this isn't more than a 2-on-2. Because again, like, I just don't like multi-man matches. I'm biased.
We know.
That's okay. That's okay.
It's the disclaimer on every episode.
I wish I never said it.
This is a disclaimer. Yeah. Let's now move on to talk about a couple of tag team matches, which are fine because it's 2-on-2. And let's talk first about the OC versus Theory and Waller. The OC, every time they sign these guys, it's like they just sign them for them to be here to take losses when they need to, and then sit in catering and drink a couple of beers when they're not needed. Like, these guys, honestly, they're so talented. That's the worst part. Carl Anderson killed it in New Japan back in the day, 2013, 2014. Then, when they went back to New Japan, he was killing it again. Maybe not to that same level, but he was still killing it. And then they ride back in WWE, and they haven't done anything. But they did look good in this match against Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. It was enjoyable for what it was. Theory and Waller picked up the victory. No tease of a split yet. Then in the match later on in the night, we had AOP versus the Street Profits. And these AOP guys, I said it before, I'll say it again. They're still young, but boy, oh boy, do they have potential. They really do. This match was short, like they both were, to be honest, but it was fun. And in the end, Street Profits sneaked a win, and it makes me think AOP are going to cost the Street Profits next week, leading to what they call the Theory and Waller, without a tag team name, or A-Town Down Under, whatever you want to call them, going into that ladder match at WrestleMania. I'm looking forward to it, and both of these matches were fun, but they were short, and that was kind of the theme of the night. What was your thoughts, Anthony?
I mean, as far as the OC not being used, right, the one positive for them this go-around versus the first go-around is they're getting paid a lot more money to do nothing. So
That's true.
Good for them. I wish that they would come up with better stuff for them to do. I do like the fact that they're putting them in NXT to try to give them give the younger talent a rub and try to reestablish them. They're a better team than what they're displayed as. For Theory and Waller, I kind of have given up on Theory. I've said this before. I thought he had a ton of potential, but like he hasn't improved. He's never, pun intended, evolved as a talent. Like, I mean, he really hasn't. I mean,
I disagree, but fair enough.
Well, I mean, listen, they've tried to repackage him multiple times, and it's the same. It's the same gimmick, and it's just not. I see more in Waller. I think Waller has a brighter future than Theory does. I mean, look at this last year.
He's almost 10 years younger than Waller, though, too. Like, you've got to put that into...
I understand that, but consider the rubs that Theory has had. He's been in the ring with Austin. He's been in the ring with The Rock. He's been in the ring with Vince. He was Vince's golden boy. He had a Money in the Bank, U.S. title. Last year, he was in the ring with Cena. Picked up a win from Cena. It did nothing for him. Cena looked horrible, but, and I had said on this show with you, and I'll never forget this, after Cena gave the promo that buried Theory, I said, he buried him so bad, a win would not do anything.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what happened. So I think Waller has the brighter future of the two. I do think they're going to break up. I don't know if they know what to do with either one of them. I think Waller has the brighter future, though. I think Waller you could do a lot with. Like I said, the OC they should do more with. As far as the AOP and the Street Profits, I kind of find it humorous the fact that the Street Profits, they don't know whether or not they want them as faces or heels. Because
That's true.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They were heels as part of Bobby Lashley's group, but now a more heelish group came in. Now they're suddenly faces without actually turning.
And Lashley too. All three of them. They forget about it. They're faces now.
Because they're facing a darker group? Like, okay. Doesn't make any sense. I would say the same thing. People might complain and go, oh, he only complains about AEW. No, I'll complain about WWE when something doesn't make sense. The AOP, to me, when they initially re-signed them, I'm like, why? But I do think you could build them rightly. You have the manager of the Road Warriors managing them. If you make them a dominant team, you could do something. One of my favorite spots of that match was when Montez dove over the top rope and they literally caught him and power bombed him into Dawkins. I mean, visually, it's an interesting thing that they can do with them. But my thought was, okay, they had the Profits go over because I don't know how AOP is going to handle a ladder match. I don't know if either one of those guys could climb the ladder too many times without diving off of that thing or falling off. So I would assume they were going Street Profits because of the high flying. Like, I'm assuming that's what they want for the WrestleMania moments. I don't think the Profits are going to win, but I don't know who's.
I don't even think they're going to win next week. I think they're going to lose to Theory and Waller.
Part of me wonders whether or not they're going to throw in another team like they did back in the day with the Hardys. I don't think it's the Hardys.
Maybe.
I want to make that perfectly clear. I don't think it's them. I would love. I don't think it's going to be. I would love if it was the Motor City Machine Guns.
That would be interesting for sure. I mean, we have a couple of comments, especially about Austin Theory. Bobby Petito says Grayson Waller is a Triple H guy. He's more of a Triple H guy than Austin Theory. That's a good point. Numero One Tube of Lies saying, what about that wacky selling Theory did last week? He is quite funny when it comes to selling, but I will very quickly, before we move on, jump into what you said about Austin Theory, right? Mm-hmm. I agree. I think right now, Grayson Waller's better. I really, really do. But I think Waller is naturally a very good heel. I think if you do this right, you can turn Theory babyface from it and then just give him an opportunity to put on banger matches because the guy is actually quite good in the ring. Like, people kind of overlook it a bit. And he's been given rubbish characters, like you said. But maybe as a babyface, it could work. Maybe.
I think your best course of action is I think you need to take him off TV for a while.
That's also.
And repackage him and have him come in. If you're going to do him as a face, I think you need to take him off, and I think he needs to have a different look, appearance, something to him to make this work. If you're going to give it one more shot, I think that's what you have to do. You have to take him off because people have seen him too much and have seen the bad.
I will say this too. I think he's only 25. You could genuinely, legitimately send him down to NXT for 18 months, and he'll be back up before he's 27.
True, but you've sent him down there twice already.
He never really had a run the first time. Vince pulled him up basically immediately, and then the second time,
and then he was in the way. I mean,
which hurt him actually. I think a lot. I think that actually, despite the fact he was entertaining in it, I think him looking like an absolute tool in that group actually hurt him when he came back up to the main roster as Vince's golden child. But now let's move on, right, to talk. We're talking about, sending people down to different shows and all that. Well, there's a lot of wrestling shows nowadays, and there's not only a lot of wrestling shows, there's also a lot of social media links. Well, we've teamed up with our good friends over at Next Level to put all our links in one place, and that one place is nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all our content across all platforms, all linked in one place. Plus exclusive content. And just in case that wasn't enough, you scroll down to the bottom of that link and there's an opportunity to win tickets to WrestleMania Night 2 and the Raw after WrestleMania, plus a hotel. You haven't got your tickets yet? Well, you have a chance to enter. It's open now. You guys just go click that link, scroll to the bottom, and it'll explain to you what steps you need to take to enter it. It's completely free as well. You've got nothing to lose, literally, and it's a great app, no doubt about that. But now let's move on because, well, a little home invasion happened last night on SmackDown. Or actually, it didn't, because it was actually just a front garden invasion. The LA Knight invaded, or tried to invade AJ Styles' house. Didn't get very far. The police came in. I absolutely loved the production of this segment. I loved how they did it. It felt real. But I absolutely absolutely despised how short this segment was. It achieved next to nothing, if we're going to be real here. It didn't do much at all. Have LA Knight break into the house. Have them fight all over the place. AJ still had some Christmas decorations up. How about LA Knight takes those down? Come on, Christmas was months ago. That's the ultimate babyface move from LA Knight if he did that. But this entire feud has felt rushed. It's felt like they've not given it the time. And by rushed, I mean every segment's felt rushed. Every segment they've not given it enough time to. And it just doesn't feel like as big of a deal as it should. What are your thoughts, Jordy?
Completely agree, my friend. Completely agree in pretty much everything you said. I thought the production was great. I thought our cameramen didn't catch the next footage. We got it from the police. I thought that was great, and it being not great footage. But I completely agree, man. This scene started in a gym. It started in a gym, and I was thinking we are about to see dumbbells getting thrown around. Somebody's going to get trapped under a bench press. Like, I just thought, like, we're going to see some kind of old school Attitude Era Stone Cold in a pub. I just thought we were getting something like that. And it ended in the same fashion as them kind of Stone Cold home invasions when he was feuding with Mr. McMahon way back. But it started like that, but so we got the two sides, the two pieces of bread, but we didn't get any filling in the sandwich. Like it was, I just don't get it. And he's great because they're obviously heading into this character where LA Knight can get away with doing heel things, like because the home invasion is typically a heel thing unless you're a Stone Cold, like we saw it when Dom did it to Ray, and it's to have LA Knight be able to come out and cut promos on somebody that is kind of as universally loved as AJ Styles is. I don't think there's many people that kind of dislike Styles, but people are cheering for LA Knight to go to his house and beat him up. So I think it says a bit of how much people still want to see LA Knight. And for me, it just feels like about 4 weeks ago, they went, right, this is a Mania match, LA versus AJ, cool. And then a few weeks passed and somebody went, oh, yeah, we need to build that. And it's like, all right, yeah. What can we throw in this week? All right, yeah. Get him walking around with a chair. Right, AJ, you attack him, and then we'll do a kind of home invasion, that's a yard invasion. And it's a little bit messy, but it's one of them things where it's like, I feel like the two superstars are doing exactly, they're doing the best with what they're given.
Yeah,
and I'm still excited for it. Yeah, they're getting given very little, and I'm still excited for it. But I just want to see more. Yeah, that's it.
I just want to see AJ Styles take his Christmas decorations down. It's March 23rd. What are you doing? What are you doing, AJ? But let's move on. Let's move on and let's talk. Let's just jump straight into Io Sky versus Naomi, because this was a non-title match, but it was a very fun match for the time it lasted. But again, the same theme as literally everything else on this show. It just felt like he just wasn't really given enough time. In the end, Naomi was getting beat down. Bayley had already been beat down, so Bianca Belair came to make the save. She then also got beat down, and because all three were beat down, nobody could make the save. And yeah, Damage Control, stood tall at the end of it. I also want to quickly say I'm loving this version of Damage Control. I think this is significantly better than the version before, actually. And I mean, the facial expressions that Asuka and Kairi Sane are doing, they are underrated. Just, when the camera's on Io Sky and they're in the background, their facial expressions are so good. Everyone in this group is killing it. It makes a lot more sense as a unit than the previous Damage Control did. And overall, I'm enjoying this storyline. But are we getting Naomi and Bianca Belair versus the Kabuki Warriors? at WrestleMania, or could we maybe add Jade Cargill and Dakota Kai into the mix as well? Jordy, I'll start with you.
Um, Ben, man, why are you forgetting about Tiff again? That's you've not
Oh, I
mentioned
keep
Tiffany
forgetting.
Stratton again. What's
For
what's
those
your
who don't
problem with it?
know, I did a post earlier on the Instagram, and it was all a SmackDown's free agent signing so far in 2024. And I forgot about Tiffany Stratton, and Shard, Mr. Tiffy Time himself, is understandably not too happy with me.
Well, yeah. So, but see, I'm just wondering, is she going to come into this in some way because she had that little altercation with Naomi last night? The fans are cheering her, so as much as they want to try and make her a heel, people are going to carry on cheering Tiffany Stratton. I think it's going to take something quite big for her to get boos at this point. It's almost similar to the way LA Knight came through, right? And it was like, yeah, he's a heel, but everyone's gonna cheer him. So like, we need to kind of lean into it. I don't know whether somewhere in the next few weeks, Damage Control are going to take out Tiffany, and she's gonna kind of. I don't know.
No,
It's
don't turn her face. Don't
I,
turn her
no,
face.
well, that's why I want kind of a dark face, as you would like, in a way that like a Randy Orton, like she's gonna do some stuff, but like we can cheer her and it doesn't feel strange. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
no, I think Naomi and Bianca against the Kabuki Warriors would be a good match. I think WWE were kind of, I think they were kind of, no pun intended, banking on getting Sasha back for this feud. Because I just feel like Naomi, Bailey, and Sasha would have been the actual perfect team to take down Damage Control, because we all know, even outside of the companies, that we all see that Bailey and Naomi go to watch Sasha anytime, or Mercedes anytime that she's about. So like, I just feel like that might have been what they initially wanted, and now they have to pivot. And I think Bianca and Naomi would make a great team. I think they're approaching from a good way, where Naomi's actually said to Bianca, look, I don't disagree with what you're saying. Everything you're saying is valid, but that doesn't change the way that I feel, because I wasn't here and Bailey's always had my back, kind of thing. So I think it's quite a good angle to approach it on, and I'm excited for this match. And I completely agree that Damage Control are better off this way. And I did like them before. It did feel very much like, at what point is this going to implode? Because Bailey is clearly kind of having a bit of a dictatorship here. And now it has imploded. I think, to be honest, what Bailey's motive was when she put the team together is now coming into fruition. And we're seeing Io and we're seeing Dakota really stand on their own 2 feet as I think, individuals within a group, rather than just being Bailey's henchmen, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, I love Damage Control until Clark and Kobe ruined them for me with the "what damage are they controlling" line. But I mean, yeah, I mean, now they are, well, they're not controlling damage, but they're, inflicting it on their opponents. And I agree, this storyline heading into Mania, it's exciting because all these women are so talented. And I mean, it's good to see, isn't it? It really, really is. We got a couple of comments here. Chris Leclerc saying Io Sky is losing at WrestleMania 40. I hope so. And I love Io Sky, but I love Bailey just a little bit more. And he's also saying 14 days until the show of shows. Consider me hyped. What about you, Anthony? What were your thoughts coming out of this match?
I think this is one of those things, and I had mentioned before, I think in a dream scenario for WWE, if Charlotte didn't go down and if Monet didn't follow the money, I think they probably wanted the Horsewomen against Damage Control. I'm assuming that could have been where they were going. Bailey's friends, I think that's ideally, I think that's where they probably would have wanted to go. Mania moment for that. Because technically the 4 of them never tagged, even though, it's all been rumored, the friendship. The only concern I have with this is, there was always this reputation with Vince that when people left and they came back, they had to get punished for leaving in the first place. And I feel like a lot of people are going to look at how Naomi's been treated since she came back, and she's kind of getting the same thing. She leaves. She has a great run in Impact. They're world champion. She has a great run. she comes back to WWE to get the tag titles back that she walked out on the last time. I don't get, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand the full logic with that. And I am also getting vibes from Bianca when she's calling out Bailey, going, you get what you did. You caused all this. Sounds a lot like Drew with not accepting Jey Uso, doesn't it? It sounds similar. In wrestling, if it works, keep doing it until somebody complains.
Which you've now done, so they've got to redo it.
I mean, I pointed out with AEW, I got to point it out with WWE when they do it. But I'm not saying it's wrong. If it works, it's fine. But I think they could possibly, they're either going to go tag title or they're going to throw 6 and do this. I don't know where they're going to go with it. Tiffany, I think they want her as a heel, but the crowd doesn't want her as a heel. I think they changed the music because the people love the music. So they're like, well, we'll make her a crappy music that nobody will like, and it's still not working. So now they're like, well, now what do we do? I think they're trying to figure it out. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, they haven't announced them doing an Andre the Giant Battle Royal, and they haven't announced doing the women's one. They only did the women's one once with that horrible statue.
I think they've done it a couple of times, but the first year it had a name.
It had it was Fabulous Moolah, and then Moolah's controversy came up, and they're like, never mind, and then they tried to change it to something else. And
so
it had that horrible statue.
I'll check right now, but I think they did a couple of years. Let me check.
I feel like they didn't do last year.
No, I don't think they did last year. The WrestleMania Women's Battle Royale, then. Let's have a look. So, they've only done it twice in 2018 and 2019.
Yeah, so pre-pandemic. Yeah. So they haven't done it since. They have the women to do it.
Yeah, they definitely have.
But the same problem they're going to have with the Andre. It doesn't mean anything. You win it.
Put it on the pre-show.
Do you know where I'd say it's if you let somebody like Chelsea Green win it, who is just going to talk about it, even though the fact it is nothing, she might actually be able to get it over.
Chelsea could get it over. Chelsea is one of the most underrated pickups. That Hunter made. I mean, he's brought a lot of people back, and a lot of them you go, Vince was kind of getting rid of these people. They're not living up to the hype. Chelsea though is an exception to that rule.
100%.
We have a couple of comments here over on Instagram about people asking about the show time at the minute. The reason it's 4 in the US right now is because, we're a UK-based company and your guys' clocks changed weirdly early. So, or ours changed late, whatever the order is. So for this 3-week gap, so it was last week, this week, and this upcoming week until Easter Day, actually, weirdly, it's going to be 4 p.m. Eastern, and 1 p.m. Pacific. And then next Sunday onwards, we're back to the old time, 3 p.m. every day. But now let's move on. Let's move on to talk about the Tribal Chief.
It's definitely more convenient for me, the time change. So for me, for the 4 o'clock, that's way more easier for me. But anyway, sorry, Ben.
No, I prefer it too, but I'm saying it's the same for me. Anyway, moving on. It's Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, head of the table, Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare. These guys met face to face in the ring, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be brutally honest. I thought this segment was weird. Just weird. I don't want to say it's bad, because the promos I thought were decent, but the crowd wanting Roman really, really hurt the segment, I thought. But also, there were a lot of just really awkward pauses during it. And maybe they expected the crowd to chant. Maybe they thought it would be dramatic. It wasn't. It didn't land. I actually kind of thought that this segment landed flat on its face. The one thing I did kind of like was the ending, where Roman tried to outsmart Cody, but Cody knew it was coming. He had Seth and Jay ready as well. But I would have liked to see them brawl. Separate them off literally 5 seconds. Have it be a really, really short brawl. But just something to get that crowd hyped to end the show. Get us wanting to see more of them. I remember WrestleMania 32. One of the best things in the build to that fairly bad WrestleMania was the Triple H and Roman Reigns brawl on Raw. Something like that. have Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes. If you do it, 3-on-3 of that a brawl, then as well, it's not quite ruining the thing about Roman and Cody touching, because you could have them, get separated very, very quickly. But yeah, this segment was not for me. But Anthony, was it for you?
Listen, you know I'm a big fan of this whole story. I liked it in the sense that, as I've said before, no one's gotten closer to beating Roman than Cody. So, when you saw at the Rumble, the camera showed Roman, he had fear in his face, which you haven't seen against anybody else. And I love the fact he's trying to play mind games with Cody. He did the same thing last year. Now,
yeah,
but it's not working. I think even Wade Barrett said Cody called his bluff, and I think that works. Taking real stuff and trying to sow seeds of doubt into Cody's mind. You can't trust Seth. I trusted Seth. How'd that work out for me? Like, I think those little things, and even Roman calling out Cody for trying to sow seeds of doubt with The Rock. It's like, you already did this. Like, I thought, them playing back and forth, trying to play mind games, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with them bringing in the history, especially the family's history, too, because Dusty did face Roman's father back in the day. Like, I mean, you could play all these little things. So, and, Rock has history with Dustin. Granted, Dustin's not there, which in a dream scenario he would be. If somehow they are able to work that deal out, that would be phenomenal to surprise everybody for Mania. But I was fine with it. The Solo and Jimmy coming out of the crowd, I loved it. The only thing I would have done different, I think I would have had them come out the side that Seth and Jay came out of. I would have reversed it, I think. So you had 3-on-3. It worked either way because there was no confrontation, but you're going to do the slow build. Like, it's all tied together. Night 1 and night 2 are tied together. This is a story that everyone wants to see. I loved Cody's last line. I'm not number 2. I'm the 1.
That was the best part.
That was a great line. And the flash came through my head when Roman keeps talking about you're number 2. You're number 2. You're a great number 2. 10 years ago, there was a B-plus player going into 30. So
that's true.
I don't think anything is said in wrestling just by coincidence. There are little Easter eggs, there's little nuggets they throw in. I think it's going to be an unbelievable match, both night 1 and night 2. It's good. Night 2 is going to be wild, though. Like, there's no way there's not going to be run-ins on this thing. I do think.
No, that's true.
Bloodline's going to win night 1. Mm-hmm. You're going to get the people coming in at night 2 interfere, but I do think there's going to be surprises. I think there's going to be surprise run-in people that we're not.
And those surprises will cost Roman Reigns. No, will cost Cody Rhodes. I almost said it the wrong way. I'm pushing it. I'm convinced, but Jordy, I want to get your thoughts on this one.
I mean, again, very much the same with I'm a Cody guy this year. Last year, I really did think Roman was going to win it. I wasn't happy about Cody just rocking up at the Rumble number 30 and just wandering his way to breaking the biggest title reign of a generation. I didn't like that. Now I like it, but I completely agree. It kind of felt like a firework that didn't make a noise. Like, it just, like, the pieces were there and it was great, but I don't think it kind of was anything of like last year when Paul said to Cody, you might be Dusty's son, but Roman's the son that Dusty never had. And that's stuff like that. Like, that was like, wow, I care about this rivalry now. I care about this feud now. And it just didn't, it felt like they almost gave them too much time. And which is strange to say after what's been happening on SmackDown in previous weeks. Where it's felt very much like it's like, just give us 5 more minutes, just 5 more minutes, because they've just got face to face. Like, the whole thing at the end, when the click of the fingers, it was great, but I kind of wanted, at that point, Jimmy and Solo to be a bit quicker towards getting to the ring, because it's like, you've clicked your fingers, it's like, well, mate, I can see them strolling towards me. If I want to run away, I can run away. And then Cody's what came out, and it just felt like it should have been like the rhythm of how it felt as a viewer it felt like it should have been like the click of the fingers. Oh no, Cody's got 3 on him. Oh no, right, it's fine. Jimmy and like it's level playing field. Watch the bloodline back down for once and be like, oh wait a second. And what kind of killed it a little bit for me was how close these guys were. And they're meant to be livid with each other to the point where they want to hit each other. And they all just stood and stared at each other. There was no one holding anybody back. There was and it was just like, do you actually hate these guys? Like, because you've been saying it, but like you're face to face with them now. There's no security in your way. Do something. Like, and yeah, so it just felt like a little bit unbalanced. But I'm glad we got it. Still, I'm glad we got it. I will say that.
Yeah, I mean it kind of is. I mean, we was talking about this entire episode being too fast. We got to the final segment and it went too slow. I mean, they just can't find a balance between. There was 1 week a couple of weeks ago where The Rock didn't get enough time. Well, there was a segment which didn't get enough time, but the rest of the episode did get a good amount of time. And then you had a couple of weeks where it was the opposite, where the Bloodline segment got too much time and the rest of the episode didn't. I mean, they just can't get it right. They can't find the balance, can they? It's all a bit funny.
I did love the camera pan for the Jay reveal. Like he just had that look on his face, which was I
love Jay at the minute.
I thought that was just perfect.
That's gold. No, it was. Production all night long was really, really phenomenal.
That took an upturn in recent weeks. That's kind of undeniable.
Absolutely,
I completely agree.
No doubt about that. But guys, thank you so much for watching. If you are on Spotify or wherever you're listening to this or watching it, please like, subscribe, all of that stuff. Give us 5 stars, a cheeky 5 stars. Makes my week. Thank you to Anthony. Thank you to Jordy for joining me here. We'll be back tomorrow for a little Sunday fun day. We'll see you guys then. Pa.